Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to play with a lot of yellows, as you can see here. So if you guys aren't sick of all the yellow that I've been posting on Instagram and all over my social media, let's just go ahead and get started so you can get this yellow look as well. Okay guys, so I already did my brows off camera and I also primed off camera, so we're just going to go ahead and get into the eye tutorial part. So the first color we're going to go in with is this yellow shade from the Jaclyn Hill palette. I don't have the card, I never got it, so I'm just too lazy to get the printable. I just think it's a waste of time. It's the yellow shade, it's not too hard to find. And I'm just going to put this color all over the crease. And the brush I am using for this is my trusty Morphe E23 brush. So I am using some different equipment today, and I try to zoom in with this lens, but it just won't let me, so sorry that you guys can't get a super close-up. I'm just going to be as descriptive as I possibly can. So right now all I'm doing is I am just dragging this all the way up to the brow. If you guys don't know, if you can't tell, I have really hooded eyes, so I really like to bring my shadow up to the brow area, that way it can really pop, and I'm just making really big circular motions. Now the next yellow shade I am going to use for my Kat Von D 10th year anniversary palette, and I'm going to use this shade here. This is in the shade Gina. And I'm just taking my Morphe M441 brush and I'm putting this directly into the crease, not necessarily blending all the way up to the brow. So I'm still making these circular motions, but I'm also doing windshield wiper motions, so just like a combination of the two, that way this color blends nicely with the other one. Okay, so we are starting to look a little orange here, so to just help us out a little bit, I'm going to take this really intense yellow shade from the 35B palette, and I'm just going to place it all over the lid with my Colourpop E8 brush. And I am going to take this color just a little bit higher, again, just because I have hooded eyes. I really want to make sure that this part pops through because this is the most intense yellow portion. Okay, so now that this color is down, I'm just going to go back in with my Morphe M441, and we're just going to blend out the edges a little bit so everything is blended nicely. The last color we're going to take is going to be from the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and it's going to be this shade here. I think this is in the shade Pukey, so it's like a brownish yellow tone, and I'm just going to use my Morphe M330 brush. Sorry, I had to look at that. And we're just going to put it in the outer V. So again, we're just going to make these little circular motions and kind of pull into the crease area. You know what? I'm just going to add a little more yellow with my finger because I feel like I lost it just a tad bit, so I'm just going to tap it in place. This is the same yellow from the 35B palette. Okay, so I like how that looks. Let's go ahead and get on into foundation. Okay, so for foundation today, we're going to be trying the Colourpop No Filter Foundation. The shade that the site says online that I am is Light 75. I have been trying this out for 2 days, and I've noticed that this is a lot lighter than my actual shade, so I am just going to try this on and see if it works for me. I have mixed reviews on this foundation, but for the past 2 days it hasn't been the best. I'm sure you guys have already seen the packaging on this, but just in case you have not, this is what the bottle for the Colourpop foundation looks like. So it's really cute because it has stars all over the place and it's adorable. And then this is the pump. It does not have a cap or anything like that, which is one thing I found really weird. I just think that for sanitary purposes, all foundation should have like a cap or something over it. And the foundation itself is very runny. So I'm just going to put it on the back of my hand so you guys can see that it's immediately just going to drip all the way down. So my thing with this foundation is I feel like that it really enlarges my pores. And I feel like this is definitely not full coverage. Now this can be just because it's not my shade color and it's a lighter color, so it's not blending perfectly. And that's maybe why I feel like I can see a lot of discoloration or pores or stuff that's not fully covered. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I feel like that has a lot to do with it. Because I actually really do love Colourpop stuff. Like for example, I really love the Colourpop concealers. It's actually kicked out my Shape Tape from my collection. I am just filled with a whole bunch of Colourpop concealer. And this is to show you guys that I am not kidding when I say that. Like, I love the Colourpop concealers. Like, I absolutely love them. So I was a little confused as to why I felt like this wasn't the same as far as coverage. If you guys have tried this Colourpop foundation, let me know what your thoughts are, and if you're having trouble and you found out a way to make it work for you, let me know as well. But currently it is not my absolute favorite. I think it's great for the price point, however, I just feel like they can do a little better. So I just want to show you guys a close-up of this foundation. You can form your own opinions. Obviously it's way too light, but like I feel like the coverage just isn't fully there. Like right here you can still see a lot of stuff. It kind of is cracking around my chin area. Even if I put more, it'll not fully blend into my skin. So I'm just gonna blend all the way down to the neck as well, so my face looks like it somewhat matches. I also want to note that I know some people have had better experiences with this foundation with a brush. However, I'm not a foundation brush kind of girl. I just don't like it because I feel like brushes are so much harder to clean, and I just love having cleaner brushes on my face, not necessarily stained brushes. I can't do that, and I can't do stained sponges either. So I just prefer a sponge, and I would just hate to have to go out and buy a brush and clean it thoroughly in order to make this foundation work. And as I mentioned, this foundation is way too light, so we're going to fix it with some Colourpop concealer to bronze. And I am just using the Colourpop concealer in the shade 45. So I am going to pack this on a little heavily just because I need my foundation to match a little. Okay, so that helped a lot, as you can see. And next I'm just going to go ahead and put some concealer on. Of course, I'm using the Colourpop No Filter Concealer, and this is in the shade 20. So my eyes do crease pretty quickly, so I'm just going to go in with some setting powder. And so I've also been trying out this setting powder for a couple days, and so far I kind of like it. It does make my under eye area very patchy and dry. I find a few powders will do that, however, like the Laura Mercier will do that to me, and there's a few that don't. So I don't think that's really a big deal, because I think it's just like my personal skin that reacts that way to like really good powders for some reason. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but like there's some discoloration as soon as I put the powder on, which is really weird. I've never had a powder do that. And I also want you guys to note that this powder is definitely not translucent. It's more of like a vanilla shade. Which I kind of don't mind because I have a little bit of a medium to darker skin tone. So vanilla looks fine under my skin tone. However, if you are, or if you have fair skin, I don't know if this would work out too well. So now I'm just going to go ahead and finish highlighting the rest of my face. And I'm just going to set my face with the same powder. I guess it's okay that this powder does oxidize a little bit because, again, the foundation's too light. But you know, a lot of Colourpop stuff has oxidized on me before. Like the concealer does oxidize, which is why I use such a light shade. So maybe it's just how their products do. I don't know. Okay, since we did more of a cream bronzer, we're going to do a contour with a powder. So I am just using this Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. And I'm just going to use the same bronzer to contour my nose. And I am using my Morphe E47 brush. And to help me blend this out just a little bit further, I'm using my Morphe M433. So next we are going to go ahead and bake, and I'm just going to be using the same Colourpop setting powder for that. And if you are new to my channel, I always bake the sides of my nose because I get very oily there. So I just put this on to keep my oils at bay. And since this powder does make my under eyes very dry, I'm obviously not going to add more powder to emphasize that. Okay, so while all this is baking and I look like a freaking bear, we're going to go ahead and finish the under eye portion. So I'm just going to take the same yellow from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I am just using an Anastasia brush. So it's the dual-ended brush, and I'm going to use this side here. So I am just going to pack this color in. I'm not necessarily going to go back and forth with it just because I want this to really pop. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take that brighter yellow from the 35B, and I'm going to pack this even closer to the lash line, and I am using my Morphe M508 to do this. So now that both of those colors are set down, I'm going to take the fluffy side of this Anastasia brush and I'm going to blend the two colors together. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and get rid of this bake. That way we can go ahead and start putting on some highlighter and some blush. And I am just using a big AOA Studio brush. I don't think this one really has a number. Oh wait, yeah it is. It's an F21 brush. And now I'm just using my Morphe M438 to pack this powder into the nose. I'm not necessarily going to dust it off again because the whole purpose is to help it absorb any oils that do come through, so I'm just tapping it in instead of dusting it completely away. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is add blush, and I'm just using this blush set from Sleek Makeup, and I'm just going to add all three colors. And I'm just using my Morphe Y4 to apply this. And to stick with the whole yellow golden theme, I'm just going to be using this highlighter here. This is by Physicians Formula, and this is in the shade Champagne. And unfortunately, I don't know what brush I'm using. I want to say it's a G23, but it's like completely rubbed off. But this is by Morphe, and it's just a big fan brush. And as you guys can see, this highlighter does not play games. Like, it is so, so, so pretty. Now I'm just going to highlight the tip of my nose and down the bridge of my nose, and the brush I'm using is a Morphe M507. We of course want to make sure that we get the inner corner. I think that this part is the most important because for whatever reason, highlight tends to stick on better to the inner corner portions of our eye. I've noticed that, so you want to make sure that you pack this on pretty nicely. That way it blends really well with the yellow shadows that we've put down. So as you guys can see, that made a really big difference. I'm just trying to blend the bottom portion a little together just because I kind of did drag it down just a tad bit too far. Lastly, we're just going to go ahead and highlight right under the brow bone. And to set my eyebrows in place, I am just using an Essence eyebrow gel. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and set my face with my setting spray, and I like to do this before I do any type of mascara or eyeliner, just so I don't risk any type of smudging. I've honestly just mixed a whole bunch of setting spray into this bottle, so it has a little bit of the Rose Pop Rose Quartz setting spray in it. So if you guys don't have me on Instagram, first you should add me. But I have finally almost filled up my Lash Story Pro Edition book, so all of my lashes are like finally starting to line up. I have just ordered a whole bunch of other lashes, so unfortunately this is exactly why I never know which lashes I have on or I'm using because I don't label them. So I'm going to try and start to label them. I've already done half and I still need to do this half. I just bought a whole bunch of new lashes, so I'll make sure that I try and like label them so I know which ones I'm using. But I think I'm going to go for these top ones up here, so just a big fluffy lash. Alright, so while my lash glue is drying on that, I'm just going to go ahead and put some eyeliner and mascara on. The eyeliner I'm going to use is by Lorac. Just to let you guys know, this is not a cruelty-free brand, but it is more of like a brownish gold color. So that's what it looks like. It has little specks of gold in it, so that's just what I'm going to use to tightline my eyes. And for mascara today, I am using this Milk Kush mascara. Okay guys, so I decided I'm going to be a little extra and I'm just going to use one of my favorite gel liners. So this is by Colourpop. It's a yellow gel liner and this is in the shade Punch. And I'm just going to put this in my lower lash line. So your girl's lashes are still not dry yet, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and put on some lipstick, and of course I am going to use Colourpop lipstick, and this is in the shade Layover. Okay guys, so I did have to put on some different lashes because literally right when I was applying my lash, this happened. So these are different lashes. Again, I don't know which ones these are, but this is the completed look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys aren't sick of the whole yellow vibes that I have going on. But anyways guys, that is the end of this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I do have a... oh my god, I can barely talk. I do have an intense video that's coming up next week. It's not a makeup tutorial, it's more of a serious video. It's definitely going to be one of the hardest videos that I've ever had to film, so I want to make sure that you guys are aware that that's coming up next week. It's not necessarily to promote this video, and it's hard for me to breathe just thinking about it, but I think it's very important. Just an important video that I need to put out. So if you guys just want to make sure that you're subscribed and you have your notifications on, that way you don't miss it. Sorry. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.